Hello, and welcome to our virtual annual discipline meeting for the 2024-2025 school year. I am Dane Lamont, the School Partnership Specialist for Penn Highlands Dual Enrollment Program. During our fall 2024 semester, we plan to have our in-person ACE discipline meeting at the Penn Highlands Richland campus. Unfortunately, poor weather conditions forced us to cancel the event this year. However, our college liaisons were still able to hold recorded Zoom sessions to discuss specific topics related to the disciplines you teach. Please enjoy this recording of your annual discipline-specific activity, and we hope you can join us in person next year. Thank you for making this program possible for your school and your students.
You're good.
Okay, perfect. So I think you were my only attendee. So you attend every year because you're faithful and I love you. I'm going to share with you. I need to. There we are. ACE meeting agenda. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so welcome and introductions. You know me and I know you, and there are only two of us, so I think we can probably skip that part. This year, more than any other year, I guess, are you having any other issues with your syllabus, meeting your objectives, anything of note with the school or your class? Let me grab a pen too.
No major issues. Everything seems to be like okay and, back to normal versus the previous years.
Okay. So curriculum, syllabus, like those sorts of things, no problem. Seem to be okay with what you have available to you.
Yeah, thus far, sure.
Okay. You need to let me know if that changes or if
Okay.
your school is adopting a new curriculum. We've had a couple teachers reach out to get ideas on new curriculum, and sometimes I connect them with other ones that I know that are using it. So if that changes, you just need to let me know.
Okay, I don't think it's in our budget right now. I know it's like down the road in the future, but
Yeah, just let me know whenever you get there, if that's 3 years from now or whatever it may be.
will
Just
do.
let me know and I'll connect you with other people. If you're like, hey, I'm thinking about adopting this, let me know and I'll reach out. Issues that I'm hearing a little bit from others are listening exercises. I don't know if it's kind of the result of like our fast pace, like consumer culture where we're consuming content 24/7. But it seems that a lot of students are really struggling with listening exercises. I didn't know if you saw that in your classroom or if you can help me help some others that are having issues with that for the kids. So like my first thought was, is it listening comprehension or is it like listening for language? Um, so I gave the example here of do we not know the words or do we not know the actual meaning? So like when you say to somebody, ah, I'll take it from here, like in Spanish, I'm sure your students know every single one of those words, but maybe not the context in which it's being said. So I didn't know if you were having issues with your class or if you had any advice that I could share with others.
Like if and I kind of do. I do listening comprehension as far as like what comes with the book or, different activities out there that are made for students. And there's certain ones they like more than others. I know I attended a conference and the presenter was very specific with when you're doing listening, that's the skill that you're focusing on. So it's like you circle true or false or you check a box or you just do something very minor because the only skill that they're working on is listening. Like, don't have them write while they listen or read while they listen. So I found even if I want to make it more challenging, I'm more successful with basic activities, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, it's also like I feel like kids I mean, I think it's just a societal thing too. I have some that like will definitely do it and some that are like, I'm not doing this listening because it's listening.
Yep.
So I've tried to find like ways for that. I know on YouTube, like I've slowed things down for them, different things
Okay.
we've done. You can't, I don't think you can always do that, but sometimes you can.
Okay.
And
That's
then
helpful.
I do, I mean, as far as like listening for language, I always do song of the day at the end of the day. Um, or, we'll watch like little movie clips or just different things where I don't necessarily want them to like check true or false or check a box. We're just listening to see what we understood from that or what we got out of that, and then we'll discuss or they'll tell
Okay.
me, yeah, like depending on what are we picking out vocabulary? Are we trying to
Sure.
get the overall meeting, not like line by line type
So
thing.
that's helpful because then I can tell some other teachers about listening for language being maybe more like a musical activity, like, hey, listen to Daddy Yankee and see if you can pick up certain words versus what did you actually understand from this entire conversation that we just listened to between student one and student two?
And I don't know if you're familiar too. This is for listening along the music route. Roxham, it's a website.
Yes,
Okay. So they love Roxham. Now I don't have the paid for version. I just do the free one where it's like
sure.
whack-a-mole with the words. But they like that. And like I said, I don't know what the paid for version offers, because I'm not going that route at the moment. But that's a good like listening for language with some, like minor, there's still some practice and they like
Yeah,
the dog or cat emoji and they want to win. Uh,
that's helpful. Yeah, I have another teacher up in the Kerwinsville area who likes Roxham, so that makes sense to me. I forgot about them. Okay, so and we think YouTube maybe have some, they may have some videos that you're able to slow down some of that audio.
yeah, it's like on the right hand side,
Okay,
you can like mess with the settings. I don't know if every video has that option. Like,
sure.
how some have subtitles and some don't, and
Yep.
I think it's that. But I know like the kids actually showed me that something we were doing and they're like, slow it down a little bit. And it made a big difference.
Yeah. That was my first suggestion was, is there a way to slow it down? And then my like because I'm hearing disabled, I was like, well, is it a listening problem? Like, because I can read lips and I obviously do that a lot better than a lot of listening activities. So I said, is this like a transcript thing? And some of them are like, well, transcripts are helpful if we're trying to pick out certain words. And then I had a professor in another college that actually posted in a group that I'm in, and she had said kind of like your song thing that she has a different song every week and she just has the kids listen to it and see if they can pick out certain vocab, and then at the very end of the week they're almost translating those lyrics into English, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That is really cool. I know too, I think it's like maybe Senor Ashby. There's like the music competition for October, the music competition for like March, and I
Yep.
know there's going to be a Christmas commercial one. There's
Oh,
a free one that's a couple, activities, and then there's a paid for one that you get more. It's like on Teachers Pay Teachers. But my
sure.
students love Christmas commercials. And I know I've seen and I have something for like the Spanish lottery, but they love the Spanish lottery.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, so they're like that stuff is out there too for like non-textbook type listening, like real world
Yeah.
things.
Nope, that's helpful. Thank you for sharing that so I can share with some others that probably um I have a newer teacher. He's taught language before. He was new to us last year, and I think the more I can offer him for support, I think would also be helpful,
Yeah.
because he just doesn't have the experience that you guys have. So super nice guy though. Okay, next thing that everybody is asking about and that I'm seeing everywhere in my review of things is this lovely AI. Dear God. Um, so some things that I was trying to get across with some of the other teachers are that there are benefits, right, to AI. Sometimes it can function almost like an on-demand tutor, that if you do homework, if you send homework home in the evening and the child doesn't have a whole lot of home support, that it may be a tool that could be used there. One of my students in my section at Penn Highlands for Spanish 1 actually uses AI so she can practice talking because she doesn't have the confidence to like record something to send to me, but that's ultimately what their final activity is. So she used AI to try to like have a conversation so that way she could make as many mistakes as she wants and it wasn't graded. I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, that is. That is really cool.
Um, some of the things I was reading too say if we have AI, sometimes people tend to learn languages earlier. So whether it's Duolingo or whether it's some other app or even just having multiple like commercials in English and in Spanish, or seeing like the NFL has some of their broadcasts in Spanish. Like sometimes those things create this like real excitement for language. So that way, by the time they're in ninth grade, they're past the introductory stuff and they want to do Spanish 2, 3, whatever, and then maybe go on to a college level. So I thought that was exciting. They also said that helps with literature too. So like if you're moving on to the higher levels, I don't need to know the vocab to hail a cab. I would like to read, like Water for Chocolate or something like that. So I thought that was a very interesting thought. I don't know if we're quite there yet in the high school realm, but I thought it was an interesting thought. Where are you at with AI in your classroom?
I don't do anything with it. I mean, I probably need to be better, but I'm still so old school that I like them learning. And as far as like, I guess catching students, and I don't know if it's translators or AI, but it's pretty easy to like pop it back in or out. Like, I don't know how to say this, but I know you know. I can tell if you didn't write this because I
Yep.
know what your writing looks like versus what
Yep.
a computer perfectly generated. And even I tell them this, like, I know what mistakes you're going to make with the content that we're learning. And if you're doing like what you're supposed to be doing and using what I've taught you, or if you haven't learned that yet, like before kids learn like Potter plus infinitive and they'll just put the infinitive, that's okay. We're not going to correct that because you haven't learned it yet. But when
Right.
I start like seeing that in Spanish one sentences, and we haven't covered that yet in Spanish one, I know where that came from,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So,
I think the other thing too is accents. Like accents
uh,
as a traditional language learner are very difficult. And AI is always like perfect with their accents. And you're like, no, no, no.
yeah, like something should be missing here and it's a little too good. We've had trainings and I'm not anti, but the trainings were like as a whole and not language specific.
Sure.
So, it was like 2.5 minutes of this is what we could do for Spanish or French. But if there was like somebody who was more specialized in here's how we can use this in the language classroom, I would be interested,
Okay.
in that. Um,
Okay. That's something we can look into. Yeah, like I said, my student who brought it up, like, oh, hey, I actually used it to kind of work on my confidence in speaking. I was like, what? Like, walk me through this.
well, yes, definitely. If like I said, if you find something out there, and I
Yeah.
did see those, like you can talk to Shakespeare, or like you can put different things in and talk to different people.
Yep.
But I've never played around with like changing the language option of that.
Sure.
But I am open to learning. I just want somebody who's like specialized in the language realm to be sharing that with me.
Maybe that's something I could look in even for next year's ACE meeting. Is there somebody that we could bring in that could have like a conversation with y'all about it? So let me put that on my radar. I'll make a note here and see what we can find.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I said, it's been a common theme. That's why I was bringing it up here, and it was very helpful. Like I said, my one student, she's very nervous, and they have their final activity this week and it is speaking. And I said, you have to record your voice. Like you don't have to, it's not a live conversation that you're having with me, but you do have to record your voice saying these things. And she's just been practicing all semester because she's just been so worried. I was like, well, I appreciate that. I'll use that in my meeting. So,
And you can always direct her to Vocaroo, I'm sure
ooh,
that, but she could play around and see it. I don't know if that'd be good or bad for her if she wants to hear herself or if she doesn't.
I'll ask her. She's super approachable, so I'll ask her. She'll take it in the manner that it's meant. All right. And then as I do every year, I have Are You in a Rut? We have the other things that we usually list. Half of them are probably from you, ma'am. Um, but we have all sorts of things on there. I know you don't need them because you're just amazing and you have all sorts of games and funness. Talk to me about your enrollment. That was an issue for you last year. Is that an issue for you this year?
Yeah, actually for dual enrolled, I believe I only have one Spanish 2,
Okay.
and I'm not sure what's up with Spanish 4. So I know I have like a bunch of the Spanish students can never dual enroll because they're in the college and high school program,
Yep.
so they're
I
always
remember
maxed
you
out
said
on
that.
credits. But I have one that transferred from another district, and I'm not entirely sure what she did at her old district,
Okay.
like if she took it or not. I don't believe she was signed up, but I think just on my roster there was one, and it was a Spanish too. And like I said, my problem with enrollment is the majority of the kids in her Spanish 2 class and an overwhelming majority of my other Spanish 2 class are all college and high school. So
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
could never take it for dual enrollment because they'd have too many credits.
Okay. Make a note of that, see if there's something we can do there too.
I know years ago, maybe about 10 years ago or so, they had to take Spanish when they were dual enrolled. And I had a class of nothing but kids in Penn Highlands that, were college and high school. So they didn't necessarily, I mean, there was still dual enrollment at the time too
Yeah.
for those who weren't, but like they had to take it. That was like part of the curriculum for a year
Okay.
or two a long, 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 long time ago.
Okay.
And I
Oh.
I didn't, I mean, I love Spanish, but I always felt badly because they couldn't take French. Like French
Right.
was dual enrolled
They
back.
had to only they have a choice of one, basically.
Yeah. And French for me hasn't been dual enrolled for a really long time.
Right.
And I don't know why that stopped or what the issue was with that.
Okay. That's helpful for me to take back to my department. Um, okay, you know about assessment. This year is not your year for assessment, so you don't have to worry about it. If you, ever, if you have any questions about your assessments, you just let me know. You're not due for an evaluation this year, so as much as I love to see you, I don't have to see you this year. And then, if you have anything else you need from me, you just reach out and let me know. I will let you know when you're due for those things, and I'll kind of circle back on some of the stuff we talked about. Is there anything else you need from me?
Yeah, I guess too. So like you don't need me to submit anything
Nope.
from, okay,
Nope,
perfect.
that's not your year, so you're good.
Good. Because my one question was going to be I'm going out on maternity leave right around.
Yep, you have to figure it out, Sarah. I need it while you're at home. No, no, ma'am. Not
Okay.
your year.
Okay, because I was just gonna plan for it early, and that was one of the things I had in the back of my mind. And the girl I have is wonderful. There's no doubt whatever she would do would be fabulous.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, so that's like one less thing I have to worry about.
Nope, you're good this year. You had your evaluation before. You should be fine. If that changes for whatever reason, I doubt it will, but if it does, I'll reach out and let you know. Um, but you should be good for a little bit.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions for you, ma'am, before I let you go back into your snuggly home and be peaceful and happy?
I guess not a question, just like a comment or things kids really like doing. I
Yep.
found I have a lot of success. I did buy a Quizalize, which is like similar to Kahoot and the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I found I have a lot of success with like assigning virtual things, and a lot of kids doing that and really liking that for extra practice. And then some of those you can gamify. Like I assign a lot of like bookets if I'm out or get called to a meeting or need something in a pinch. Those are kind of the big things. Or in my split classes, if I need something in a pinch, I can assign a quizzes. That one's a little less user friendly, I found,
Right.
but they really do like that stuff, and I think it helps. And you can do so many different formats and things, with it. But each one kind of has their strengths and their weaknesses.
Sure.
But just something to keep in mind too. Like I said, like you get called at the drop of a hat. I'd actually translate a report card from El Salvador and a birth certificate from El Salvador, and I'm like, what can I give them in the interim? So it was just a quick, and like there's
Right.
a code or you can pop it into Schoology. But don't forget that type of stuff if anybody out there needs that. And then Charla is another big
You
one.
love Charlala, I know.
Yeah, the kids they'll want to play that all the time. Anything we can turn into Charla. But they do have like things you can assign for them for that as well.
Perfect.
So that's a big one. And then, like I said, don't forget about Padlet. We were making like Padlets and answering things on Padlet.
Yep.
Perfect.
That's helpful. I will pass that along to all of our other friends.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, ma'am. And maybe next year we'll see you in person. And if not, you know how to reach me.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I appreciate the emails and the help. Definitely keep them coming.
Hey, hope you feel better, you and baby, and I hope you're all nice and snugly warm.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Have a good day.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.